Steven, I think they're ready for us. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So there is one person I'll talk about later that definitely isn't ready any day of the week. But until we get to that point, how's everything been with you? Welcome back to the show. Hopefully you're feeling good. Your team isn't doing that great, but how's everything with Penn State? Tell us about the hiring. We're just going to jump right into it.
Yep. You're talking about the Steelers?
No, so we are actually talking about Penn State.
Oh,
I don't know if we talked about
I
the
thought you were
OC
saying
last time or
my
DC.
team. Yeah, I didn't hear what you said. Yeah. Penn State hired Tom Allen as the new defense coordinator, replacement Diaz, and it's basically the same hire. There's not going to be much drop off. He runs a very similar style defense, and I think Penn State fans will take him back by it. This was a little bit different than our offense coordinator hiring because there was a lot of names out there, as there usually is for offense coordinators. Defense coordinators, it's they don't always jump from a head coach, take a step back. Manny Diaz did it when he was at Miami, went to Penn State. Now he's a head coach again. Tom Allen, I would imagine it'll be a similar thing where he's only there for maybe 3 years. But yes, he was at Indiana. Before that, he had a couple other stops as a defense coordinator, linebackers coach, which is what he'll be at Penn State. He was down at Ole Miss, turned them around, went to Indiana. Penn State fans just need to get over the fact that Indiana football is dog shit, and always has been. But shout out to Antoine Randall.
Shout out.
They're always one of those random teams that can go like 8-4 at best. But usually they'll be like 6-6, 7-5, or 5-7, somewhere in that range. They have like one good win every like 3 years, type of shit, and that's like half the Big Ten and half of the teams in every conference. But yeah, I'm pretty pumped. There shouldn't be much drop off. We're losing a couple guys here and there on defense, but we have a lot of talent coming back. This is like the first stretch of years, where like the drop off for Penn State. You see this with Bama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson before this season. Now Michigan, like there's no drop off from year to year. You might have one of those teams like that, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase team that won national title. You might have like another 10-win season, 9-win season after that, but you're gonna have one of those teams every couple of years. But typically there's no drop off. Penn State, again, losing some talent on the defensive side. Chop Robinson going to the NFL. Curtis Jacobs, losing a couple other guys. Kalen King, potentially, if he decides to opt out. But there's going to be a ton of guys coming back because we have a lot of depth. We have a lot of talent. And that's what getting those, 4 stars, 5 stars, and developing those kids. Because, this goes back to there's a tangent I don't want to go on right now. We'll get to recruiting down the road. The first period of signing day is coming up. So, I believe that is in the coming weeks. So we'll talk about that eventually. Then I'll talk about that. The whole 5-star, the full 5-star thing. Yep. If it means anything, it does. But yeah, so hired him. I figured everything was going to get done before the bowl game, which is next Saturday. Not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday, the 30th. We play Ole Miss, the Peach Bowl, 12 o'clock, ESPN on Saturday on the 30th. So we'll talk about that. And I haven't done any quick slants over the last probably like 3 weeks, probably maybe a month. Because I knew this is like the busiest time for college football. You have all the bowl games, you have all the playoff stuff, the transfer portal open now, coaching changes left and right. I know you want to talk about the portal. So I didn't want to do one because I knew like the next day, or like the next week, there was going to be something that's popping up. So usually around this time, once Christmas comes around and the bowl games are going and the playoff games are set and all the award lists are done, the Heisman's done, yada yada yada, and the transfer portal's heating up. I'll do them probably next week before the Penn State game, and then I'll probably start to do more and more in the off season. But yeah, that's what we got for the boys. Shout out to the boys.
So shout out. So I'm going to segue in a second to one of a former coordinators of Penn State before I get to that point. Congrats to everyone that
Ricky Ronnie? Your boy Ricky Ronnie? The big homie, head coach at ODU?
We're going to get into that.
Yes, sir.
But congrats to anyone and everyone that's still in fantasy football world. I do have another episode that's going to be coming out probably tonight or tomorrow Just going over people to pick up and the waivers and stuff like that. I noticed some people have been asking me different questions, or like one time I remember one of my friends told me over the weekend, this one dude reached out to him on Instagram saying, "Hey, how do I end up getting in touch with Christian to ask him a question?" I was like, I'm not that serious, but we'll end up just going to that point. But I've also been doing some sports bets as well. One that I put out last week was the Falcons to beat the Panthers to beat the Falcons. So that's something that not
Dude,
necessarily a lot of people.
I was thinking about my picks. I was thinking about my picks from last week, and I got torn up, dude.
Yeah, so that's the tough
I got
part,
torn
like
up.
predicting some of these games. And we'll have an off the air conversation of something I've just started to wonder about in terms of how all these games will line up and how the two best teams in the league are about to meet on Christmas Day. But there's a lot of things people can end up saying. What I do want to do is segue now this into a former coordinator of Penn State and talk about ODU and how this goddamn game happened. So I'm going to walk us through every single quarter. First quarter, they were winning 21-0. Second quarter, at half, they were winning 28-7.
Mm-hmm.
Going into the end of the third, 35-14. I was like, bet. People were texting me saying, like, yo, y'all are about to win a bowl game. I was like, yeah, this is great. Then you just start seeing all the tweets saying Old Dominion is not really about to let this happen. And then after 35-14, you see 35-21. They're like, Old Dominion is not really going to let this happen. Then you see 35-28. Why is ODU running a hurry up in this type of situation? Then you see 35-35. How the hell do you let up 21 points in the fourth quarter?
It's tough,
And
dude. It's tough.
then overtime happens and you can't do shit about shit.
Nope.
And you lose 38-35. And the wildest part about this is if you looked at the odds before the game and even during the game, it was favoring ODU the whole time. Although ODU was like 6-6 before the game, there was no reason for them to lose. You are up 21-0. And so essentially the way you started the game is how they ended the game on a 21-0 run. And
That's
when
tough,
you look
dude.
at the numbers, it was only one human being on Western Kentucky that beat you guys. It was Mr. Caden. He legit had 383 passing yards and 5 touchdowns, and then had 16 carries for 53 yards. There's no reason.
It's tough.
And where do we get this head coach from?
Your
Penn
boys.
State.
Shout out to the homies, Ricky Ronnie,
Shout out.
the big homie.
So that's the only thing
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up over there. The two hot takes that I do have, one, I want to spend like a couple of minutes on the transfer portal. So the big topic has been, and I've talked to a bunch of different people about this. Some are frustrated, some don't care, but some of these players are now transferring 2 to 3 times, just kind of going to like different colleges and stuff. And then also we of course, Nebraska was known for doing this. Matt Rule did it, saying it's going to cost around like $1 to $2 million to get one of the top-notch quarterbacks to come here. What are your thoughts on how the transfer portal now is compared to how it was before? And do you like it, or do you have that old school mindset of they should just go back to sitting out a year?
I wouldn't go that old school, but I would definitely say you can't be doing this every year.
No.
Like you can't be just like because that can't be easy. Like I was also thinking about the like the school factor of this, like transferring grades and
Yeah.
make sure you have. I mean, okay, we're gonna get to the nuts and bolts of it. Like how many of these guys are actually taking like legitimate classes and like come on, we all know the system. There's very few that are working on like their doctorates, right?
Yeah,
Very few.
exactly.
But like that's gotta be tough. The transcripts, like, cause you have to be in by a certain time to be able to transfer. Like that was a holdup for a little bit with Chop Robinson, who transferred from Maryland to Penn State, and the transcripts to go from Maryland to Penn State. Make sure you have the right classes in order. Make sure you get study halls lined up. Make sure you do all those non-football things, like finding out like your housing and getting like your meal plan, like getting your
Mm-hmm.
scholarship transferred basically from one school to the next. It's not just you picking up your shit and East Halls and moving down 3 hours down the road to State
Yeah.
College. You got to do all like your whole football scholarship shit that what you got to Maryland. Can you do the same at Penn State? Which you can for like D1 to D1, whatever. But like that's a big deal. So no, you can't be doing this shit every single year. Because like I joked about, like imagine if you can do this in real life, only in sports,
Only in
only in sports,
sports. Yeah,
and you
you
can just
can't end
leave.
up picking up and leaving like
Like, oh,
that.
okay, you know what? The kids are really pissing me off lately. It's the holiday season. I'm just tired of it. The wife's on my nerves. You know what? The Smith family seems pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna go
just
take
gonna
an
go with
official
them.
visit to the Smith family. I'm gonna put my name in the family transfer portal. Like, could you
You
imagine?
can't
Like,
do
Brooke,
that.
hey, look, dude, it's been fun. Like, we had a good year, couple years, but like, I'm gonna go test the waters. I'm gonna go see if I can
Yeah.
start somewhere else real quick. I'm gonna go see if I can be the man of the house.
Hmm.
Like, you're not doing that in real life. Like, there's
You
no, there's
can't.
no, there's no family transfer portal. You can't just leave your job one year after the next. Like that doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't.
If you have one like those resumes that's like, company A, B, C, and D within like a 4 year span, people are gonna be like, what are you doing? Like, what's
Yeah,
going on? So
we don't
it should be
expect
the
you to be
same thing.
here.
Why isn't it working at Penn State? Why are you transferring to Ohio State? And you go to Michigan State and you go to Michigan. Like, what happened over the course of the 4 years?
Hmm.
So there's got to be some like you can only transfer like twice. It has to be like twice. That's it. Like,
Because who is
it's
it?
like it
The
used to be.
UCF one. He's on like his third or fourth transfer. The
Dude,
dude that's at
there.
Oklahoma and leaving.
Yeah, well, then also, so these guys were now at schools for a ton of years because
COVID.
Dylan Gabriel,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's at Oregon, and they just got the 5 star that was at UCLA, Dante Moore. He just
I
transferred to
know.
Oregon. He's probably gonna transfer again.
Yeah,
Like
because of it.
this was his freshman season, so he's bound to transfer again probably. And it's
Hmm.
like, I mean, dude, there's no other reason you're going from Georgia to Nebraska than you're getting a ton of money.
I'm
And
not going to Nebraska.
no, dude, no. Nebraska has been dog shit the last handful of years. It's not the Nebraska that people grew up on in the 80s and 90s with Tom Osborne and Timmy Frazier winning
Hmm.
national titles and being like that dominant program. But it's like, yeah, sure, one player can absolutely change the entire complexion of your team. Saquon Barkley did that for Penn State. There's a ton. I mean, the list can go on and on for different schools, but like, the transfer portal is just nuts, dude. This
Yeah.
it's just not good. It's just not healthy for anybody. I think you should be able to transfer at least once, but like that's it. And then if you do
Hmm.
transfer again, you have to sit out a year. One of those deals. Like if you really need to get out of there, you got unless there's like those odd reasons that we always have. You should only be able to transfer once, and if you go again, you got to sit out a year. The money thing, that's never gonna like that's just all over the place because you know the kids transferring to Columbus to go to Ohio State are gonna make more than probably they go to the Penn State because there's more in Columbus. There's whatever more within the fan base, so more within the alumni. So it's fucking nuts, dude. Like you can do whatever you want in life, I guess, but like has to be some rules about it, right?
So
Has to be
that brings me to the next
some
thing of Kyle McCord.
Honda
What
McCord,
is huh?
Honda McCord.
Yes.
They kept what's his name? Gus Johnson kept calling Marvin Harrison Jr. Maserati Mo. So then
Oh my
I
God.
heard Honda McCord. So anyway,
So what are because a lot of people are talking about he's transferring to Syracuse.
yes.
One, do you feel as though the pressure was too much for him at Ohio State? Because they lost one game. So I know some of that probably plays an impact, unless they had somebody else right behind him that they were like, you're a one and doneer here, so you better make a decision.
So from what I heard from my sources, and I have another
Hmm.
one for you.
Mm.
McCord basically his dad was basically demanding that he be named the starter from Ryan Day, and he was not,
Mm.
and so he dipped out after that, basically.
Wow.
Which is that's been put out there before too. Another one, I got this from a buddy of mine, Will Howard, quarterback at
Hmm.
Kansas State, just recently reported to transfer to USC. No, he's not transferring to USC. Um,
Really?
my buddy got a text from someone that from Will's dad. Miami and Ohio State showing interest now. Supposedly he's choosing with Washington though after a late offer. So, what does
Bro,
any
that
of
money
this?
talks.
Yeah, what does any of this mean? I have no idea. I love having the insider scoop. I know you have that with some things. It's fun to have like the insider info and all that kind of good stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, you know, Colin McCord, he'll probably go to Syracuse and tear it up. Because it's Syracuse, get a couple guys in there. They just got a new head coach, their defense coordinator, Elijah Robinson. Shout out to him. He's a Penn State guy.
Shout out.
A lot of people maybe picked him as Penn State's next D coordinator, but nonetheless, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, good for him. He's a freshman or just finished freshman season. No, sophomore season. Colin McCord did. So he's got 2 more years left. But those guys like Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel, all those guys are now done and have been in the league or been in college for 6 years because of the COVID year. So I'm pretty sure a lot of those guys are.
Bro, Bo Nix is 23.
Bo Nix is 20. Yeah, dude. What? You have like a 7-year NFL career ahead of you.
Yes.
Like most of these guys started like 21, 22. Like, yeah, shout out to Bo Nix though for really just playing the system.
Yeah, that's honestly what it was. And Bo Nix is one of those. There's another one. You'll probably know his name. So he used to play quarterback at like Ole Miss, and then he transferred somewhere. He was a quarterback, but same thing.
Dart, he's still there.
Huh?
I was gonna say Jackson Dart, but he's still there. KJ Jefferson, kid from Arkansas. He has 2 years left. Or a year left. He's got every Arkansas record. Like he just, up and left like deuces.
Yeah.
By the way, Alabama State is playing USC right now. Bronny James and company. I have so many thoughts about that, but you know who's nice? Who's probably gonna be nice? Bryce James.
Yes, I personally think he's the better one, but of course they have to give all this hype to this one.
Sure, yeah, he's the oldest. He looks like KD though. Looks like KD.
Really,
Bryce James does. He's like that tall, lanky kid. Yeah, Bronny's in right now. They're playing Alabama and Alabama State.
So my final one, because transfer portal is something that we'll continue to dive into, especially during like the dog days that end up happening. But before we get into the finance and the sports thing, I was with one of my friends and we were just like chilling watching the Steelers Colts game. And I was like, that was the first time I think I almost saw someone die on the field. I have never seen a hit like that ever. And what's crazy is, and this, I had to explain this to my friends, that the NFL has definitely been working with these networks to be like, don't show the hits again, because then it's not going to look good for us. So they show it once and you have to go find it on like social media or somewhere. But the hit I'm talking about, and they didn't even show a replay of this. You had to find it on social media. Even they did that for Keaton Mitchell's injury. They did not show that injury again.
Ooh, that was bad.
That was terrible.
That was tough, dude.
Oh my God. I've never seen a knee do that. But if you look at the knee and then the head, but
that should happen out of nowhere too.
Yes.
He was just running and just like missed the step.
So did anyone touch him?
It looked like he maybe got tripped up in the back. It was one of those weird angles. It looked like he kind of got tripped up in the back and just like he was going in his strides, but like it was almost like he didn't know what foot to put down next after he got tripped, and then just like the wrong foot at the wrong time, and it was on grass. So you like the turf monster thing or the turf battle always comes up, but I think it was grass. But like he just missed a step and just his brain didn't compute
when I saw that thing,
snapped that shit right in half.
Dog, and they were like that.
It was like it looked like a D.
Yes, it wasn't straight. That thing bent for like 2 seconds. But the hit I'm talking about is the Mr. DeMonte wanted to go destroy the hell out of Michael Pittman Jr. But my first question is, do you think he should be suspended for the rest of the season?
He's had a lot of them. I mean, I don't know what that's going to do. Like, he's still going to play the same way. Like, this happens all the time. Dudes get suspended for a hit. Like, you think that's not going to change how they play. They've been playing that way for like their entire football career, from high school to college to the pros now. Like, first of all, I personally love the hit. I'm not saying that because he's a Steeler, but I just love, like, you and I grew up on those hits though. 10 years ago, like when we were growing up 15 years ago, bro, that hit is played on every network. It is, the replay is just constant.
They would have showed that a lot of times.
They had a segment on ESPN called Jacked Up during, like, when we were in high school, when we were in college. Like, that was like glorified doing that to dudes. Like, yes. I mean, look, again, we just grew up on it, so like I love it. I love like the physicality of it. We grew up with guys like Sean Taylor, RIP,
RIP.
Troy Polamalu, Ed Reed, just taking dudes out. Brian Dawkins would kill people.
Every single
John
time.
Lynch, dude, bro, these guys could not. None of the guys I just mentioned can play today.
No, I was
None of
gonna
those
say
guys
they
can play.
can't. They can't do
Imagine
that.
Brian Urlacher playing today's game, Ray Lewis in today's game. No,
Nope.
those
They
guys,
get
no,
flagged
dude.
every single time.
Like, and I saw someone on Twitter was like, "What are you gonna like? What do you want him to do? Like, wait till he lands and just touch him?" That's what they want him to do. But like, bro, it's football.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's football. You played it. I played it. Anyone who's ever played football at any level, it's football, dude. It's a physical sport.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want people to do? It's like it's gonna happen. You're not gonna take the hits out of the game. You're not gonna take the concussions out of the game. Like,
No.
unless you just go to flag. Like, that's it. That's literally the only way you're taking football out of like the hits out of football is just going to flag and just that's it. Or give them leather helmets and see what they do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like
And then
back
you'll
in
have
the fucking
concussions
30s, you know?
every single time.
It's not.
So
It's
we're
just not gonna
gonna
happen, dude. Not gonna happen.
so we're gonna do a quick PSA announcement. Then we're gonna jump right back into sports. Just for anyone that wonders where's the finance and crypto stuff been. Super fast things that I want to talk about is an ETF is supposed to be approved hopefully early in January. That's been like the big topic of conversation. Other blockchains that I think people should end up looking into are Injective, Avalanche, and Cosmos is another one. Make sure you're doing airdrop farming. There's not as many NFTs that are out there, but the airdrop farming is a big thing. There are some ETH NFTs that people have started to focus in on. So I think that's something else that is going to be important and play a narrative going forward. Solana has been running. Of course, I've been preaching Solana since the dawn of time. Some people have even been able to partake in like these different liquidity staking protocols. And I think that that's something that people should continue to focus on, whether it is on Solana, such as Camino, MarginFi, and even Marinade, or if you want to go over to the Cosmos side or Injective side, you can end up staking on the Kepler wallet or the Leap wallet. Those are two different ones that are going to be big. Celestia, ticker symbol is TIA. That's another one that if you stake, you are going to receive other cryptocurrencies. You can do different test nets. Another one that has also started to pick up steam is EganLayer. And all these different ones that I'm bringing up, they have raised money from different VCs. EganLayer has raised over $60 million in terms of their raises. And then I know different protocols on Celestia have done it. One I'm also going to be looking into is Manda Network. So just pay attention to those, and I will continue to bring it next week and then also on Mondays as well. But kind of just segueing back into the sports side of things, the first thing I do want to start off with is the NBA surprise and the things that are happening with the NBA. For one, everyone knows that Ja Morant is playing today. Of course, I think that's a little scripted as well because Ja Morant is just so happened to be playing the Pelicans with Zion Williams. This is one of the first times they've ever played against each other in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think the suspension was warranted? And two, do you think that they're going to make it to the playoffs?
Warranted, I guess, because like it happened enough times where if he got suspended that many games for the first a first offense, then maybe not. But he kept just doing dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's basically, I feel like that's why they suspended him. They're like, dude, stop doing dumb shit, and you won't we won't have this problem. Whether it's a gun, whether it's whatever, like stop doing dumb shit. Like that's it. Now will they make the playoffs? No, I don't like.
And that's why they suspended him.
Yeah, like they're 6-19. Okay, ain't gonna happen, dude. 13 games below 500. Like you're not like the bottom half of the West is not bad enough where like you can get in with like a close to 500 record. It's not gonna happen. And like yes, I know he is one of the most well-conditioned athletes in the world, and he's been doing this for a minute now. Like high school, college, pros. But like we all know these athletes, it takes them a hot second to get going. And it's not like he probably won't be on a minutes restriction, I would imagine, right? Because he's so young. It's not like he's been significantly injured. But like you're still missing time. You still like we're suspended. Like I don't know what that means in terms of like going to the facilities. I'm guessing no. I don't really know how that works. But like it's gonna take him like 5 or 6. The way he plays, it's not like he's just like a perimeter guy. He gets downhill. Like it's probably gonna take him 5 or 6 games to get going. And by that time, 6-19 could be 7-23. Who the fuck knows? Like, so no, I mean they're by far not the worst team in the league because we all know who that is. But okay. Can I say something? Can I say
Yes.
something? Look,
Yes.
okay. Look, dude. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Okay, I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks now.
You got a lot of time.
Yeah,
You have a lot of
I
time.
have. Yeah, dude. Okay, like the Pistons are 2-25. Okay, 2-25. They've lost 24 games in a row.
It's about to be 25.
Yo, if it gets to 30, like, can you just cancel the rest of the season? Like, there's nothing like. I mean, they're not going to win 10. They might win 10 games. It's a long season, but
Mm-hmm.
they're 27 games in and they've won 2. That's just like that's not acceptable. And that's not like it's not like they don't have talent. Like they have talent. Look at Cade Cunningham is like no, I'm not gonna say a top tier player, but like he's showing that he is capable of doing it. But they are still absolutely horrendous. Like the Spurs are 4-21. They beat the Lakers. The Lakers had no team basically that night outside of LeBron, but like nonetheless, they still beat them. Like if you're asking me who's going to finish with more wins, the Spurs who are 4-21 or the Pistons with who are 2-25, I'm gonna say the Spurs like by far. Look at that. That's just unbelievable. Dude, they did not win a game in the month of November. Do you know how? Look at that. Do you know how hard that is to do? That is If they get to 30, I'm done. If they get to 30 losses in a row, I am officially done. Like I'm saying it right now. If they get to 30 losses in a row, and they're 2-30, 2-30, bro, I am done. That means that they're gonna have 50 more games left, and there's no way
Mm-hmm.
they win 10 of those games. Ain't no, there's not. They're not getting to 10 wins. They might get to 5.
God.
Like
They only
they
have,
should have to play a G League team. Like during the All Star break, everyone else gets off. No, the Pistons got to play.
yeah.
The Pistons got to play during the All Star break. They got to play a G League team. And if they lose to the G League team, they get demoted to the G League team, to the G League, and the G League team gets to come up and play in the league for the rest of the season. Because get those guys out of here, dude. Get those guys out. I'm
Steven,
so done.
they only have in like their next 10 games, I can only see them maybe beating 2 teams, and that's the Jazz and the Nets. So they play the Jazz, the Nets
No, no,
twice,
wait, dude. No.
the
Oh,
Celtics, the
like
Raptors, the Rockets.
ain't gonna happen, dude. Ain't gonna happen.
So
They're
that's
cooked.
what I wanted to talk about on that end. The next thing I do want to bring up, and so it's going to be in the NFL, but before we get into our picks, we're going to see if we can do this in a minute. So I'm going to say a position, and you have to tell me the first player at that position that comes to your mind.
Okay.
So if I were to say long snapper, you have to tell me the first long snapper that comes to your mind. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, running back.
Saquon Barkley.
And this can be now or in the
Okay.
past or whenever.
Okay.
Quarterback,
Ben Roethlisberger.
wide receiver,
Randy Moss.
tight end,
Heath Miller.
linebacker,
Um, Michael Parsons.
safety,
Troy Polamalu.
cornerback,
Charles Woodson.
offensive lineman,
Orlando Pace.
defensive lineman,
JJ Watt.
and the greatest position of it all, kicker.
Jeff Reed.
Okay. Okay.
Nice.
That was pretty good. That was solid. So I'm trying to throw in various different things like that just to kind of see who's the first person it is, because a lot of times people get stumped on like the most random ones. And something that I end up categorizing as offensive lineman, because a lot of people don't really understand. There's 3 different positions on the offensive line. And like you doing tackle, guard, and center, it really took me to my mid-20s for me to realize why is the left tackle such an important position? And that's because a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL are right-handed. Whereas if it was the other way around, they would say your right tackle is your best friend. So that's the thing over there. We're going to dive into the picks of this week. And the first game we have is the Saints and the Rams.
Oh, I'm gonna go with the I'm gonna go Rams.
So they're playing in Los Angeles. It's an easy one for me. I'm going with the Rams just based off of Kyron Williams. The next game we have is the Bengals Steelers.
Bengals. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm done.
I'm going with the Bengals. Yo, shout out to the Chargers. I appreciate you guys finally doing this.
Yeah,
I
dude.
talked about this on the other
Been a
show, but
minute.
Brandon Staley is
Gone.
gone. The general manager is gone.
Been a minute.
Bills, Chargers. Who you got?
Bills by a million.
So the odds actually show it plus minus at least 12 and a half. I believe they
Wow.
can damn near do it by 20 at
Wow.
this point.
I think I,
Colts,
I think I
Falcons,
think the Bills are starting to click now.
which is scary.
Yeah, yeah. Colts.
I'm going with the Colts, although the homie Taylor Heineke is back as a starter. I feel bad because that draft is going to go down as one of the worst quarterback drafts with Desmond Ritter, of
Mm-hmm.
course, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis.
Mm-hmm.
Who the
That's
hell?
tough. This guy's
They
a
don't want
poop.
to play any of them.
This guy's a poop.
So going back to the Bengals Steelers, Mason Rudolph is going to be the quarterback at this
Is
rate.
he?
They don't want Mitchell Trubisky.
Hell
And
yeah, dude.
I don't
Hell yeah. Talk about all white team.
I know.
My guy.
Titans Seahawks.
Seahawks, dude. That's a big win last night.
So yeah, it was. And shout
Shout out to
out
Jackson Smith and
Drew.
Jigba.
Yes, that was also
I
I
hate
tell
him,
this to
but
everybody,
yeah.
Eagles defense is some poop. Like that is a bad defense.
Yo, did you see the video? All those passes completed on that last
James
drive were against
Bradbury.
freaking
That is bad.
man.
And they always go back to saying Debo Samuel said he is trash.
They should take away his game check for that one.
The whole drive, it didn't matter what receiver was on him.
Yeah.
He let them all catch it.
But only in sports can you completely blow the game and you're still gonna keep your job.
Oh, absolutely. They would have said, you know what, Chris, you gotta go.
Yeah,
Like,
bro.
we can't keep you here anymore. Lions, Vikings.
It's a weird game. I'm gonna go with the Lions. They're just better.
I'm going with the Vikings.
Oof.
I was about to say the Lions, but the Lions have a habit of losing
Terrible
these
pick.
stupid games whenever.
Yeah,
But Sam Laporta
yeah.
is the truth as
He
well.
is. Yeah.
My man had a day. Another weird game. First off, this game would have been great on paper if Mr. Aaron Rodgers was coming back. We knew he wasn't coming back. But Commanders, Jets.
Someone's got to win this game, right? I think
Someone has to.
Someone has to win this game. I mean, you can end in a tie, but that would be very reasonable for this game. But I'm gonna go with the Jets, Jets. Tickets as low as $15 up at midlife.
Trust me. Oh, I know. Yeah, it's a rough one over there.
Yeesh.
I'm going with the Commanders. Zach Wilson is getting injured. It's to the point that the Jets O-line is so bad. They feel bad for Zach Wilson for how he got injured because that O-line just had him on his back the whole game. Next one is Packers and the Panthers, and Panthers are not ever winning the game again.
Panthers might be as bad as the Pistons, but I'm gonna go with the Packers.
I'm going with the Packers as well on that one. So breaking news for this one, it's Browns Texans, but they say CJ Stroud might not play in this game.
Yeah, dude, Flacco's got some magic going on, man. I don't care who's quarterback for the Texans. I'm gonna go with the Browns. I hate Flacco, but I mean, fucking making moves, dude.
Yeah, Browns got it. And it's just surprising that it took this long for Joe Flacco to get picked up. And he's the best out of all these backup quarterbacks that are out there.
Yeah, dude, he won a Super Bowl MVP. He threw 11 touchdowns, no picks in that playoff run. Like we gotta have a segment about forgotten playoff runs because Joe Flacco was
one of them.
Tearing shit up, dude. Tearing shit up. Oh man, never seen like that.
I got the Browns in that one.
Browns, yeah.
Browns defense is solid, so that's all they really need. A game that both teams need is Jaguars Bucks.
I'm gonna go with the Bucks because Trevor Lawrence is just getting hurt too much, dude.
He is.
He's gonna last another like 3 seasons, and we're never gonna see he's gonna be like Zion, like prime Trevor Lawrence was in college.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going with the Bucks as well. I just don't. It's weird that whole AFC South. Whoever is the winningest of the losers is just going to win it at this point. But I have the Bucks. Next one is Cardinals Bears.
I'm gonna go with the Bears. Yeah, it's in Chicago. Late game.
I'm going with the Bears in this one as well. I do have to say shout out to the Bears because whoever did their whole draft stuff, you legit have 2 picks, regardless, in like the top 5 or 6.
Yeah,
Like no
they'll have
matter what,
they'll
you
have the number
can
one pick,
win
right?
and you'll still get that number 1 pick.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Next one we have is the Cowboys Dolphins.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. And they bounce back.
Mm-hmm. That's the same exact logic I had. I think the Cowboys are going to win this because I don't think they're losing 2 in a row. Tyreek Hill is going to be back, but this game would be so much better if Trayvon Diggs was playing to have Diggs on Tyreek Hill, which would have been a great matchup. But the next one is Patriots Broncos.
Broncos Nation, let's ride.
Yeah, this is by default. I don't
Yeah.
even see them losing something like this. Before we move on, do you think Bill Belichick is there next year?
No, but I think it's on his terms. Like, not fire him.
Yeah.
Like
Raiders Chiefs.
they'll mutually agree to part ways at worst in terms of like a headline, but
Yeah,
it's gonna be it'll be his choice.
I think so. Raiders Chiefs.
Chiefs.
I have the Chiefs in this one as well. Giants Eagles.
Dude, I think the Giants are gonna get it. I think this is just one of
I
those
think
games
so.
like the Eagles have to win it just to make just to make things right after the last couple of weeks.
Hmm.
But I don't think they do. I think the Giants get it done.
So games in Philly, I'm going with the Eagles on this one. They have another game against the Giants, so I know they're going to split it. I don't know which way it's going to go. So this game, I'm going to go with the Eagles. And the final game, which I talked about this earlier, probably the best game in a while, the Ravens 49ers.
I'm gonna go with the Niners.
Hmm.
I don't think Brock Purdy is the MVP, but he's putting up awesome numbers. And no one can stop Christian McCaffrey. And
Absolutely not.
that defense is elite. And those Ravens cornerbacks are gonna have a long day probably.
All I'm going to
Just
say
like
is 49ers might put up 50 at this point because those Ravens cornerbacks are just as bad as the Eagles cornerbacks, if not worse.
yeah, it's
But
tough.
we'll come back next week with college football updates and then the NFL games because we'll have a lot of different teams that have clinched. But until next time, yeah.
Peace.